Have you ever noticed how much we love before and after stories? The rundown house gets rebuilt, a cluttered room becomes beautiful, and something broken gets restored. And by the end, it feels brand new. There's something in all of us that loves the idea of a fresh start. And honestly, that's how a lot of people think about their spiritual life too. We think, I just need to get a little better. I could be more disciplined or be more consistent, pray more, clean up the parts of me that I don't like. And for a little while, that can sound really hopeful. But then the old patterns show up again. The same anger, the same guilt, the same habits, that same quiet feeling that I should be further along by now. And that's exactly why the message of Jesus is so different from self-improvement. Jesus did not come just to help you renovate your old life. He came to give you a new one. And that is at the heart of baptism. Baptism can feel confusing. It could seem like a church tradition, an optional thing, and maybe you've wondered, is baptism what saves you? The Bible is clear. Baptism doesn't save you. Jesus saves you. We are forgiven and made right with God by grace through faith in Jesus Christ. Well, then why does baptism matter so much? It's because baptism is the public picture of what Jesus has already done inside a person. You see, Romans 6 says that when someone trusts in Christ, they're united with Him in His death and resurrection. That means the old self is not just cleaned up a little. The old self dies with Christ and a new life begins. That's why baptism is such a powerful act. When a person goes under the water, it's a picture that their old life has been buried with Christ. When they come up out of the water, it's a picture that they've been raised to a new life in Him. Baptism tells the story of the gospel in a way that other people can see. It says the old is gone, Jesus has made me new, and my life belongs to Him now. To really understand baptism, it helps to understand what Jesus is saving us from. The Bible calls it sin. Sin is not just breaking religious rules, sin is missing God's best. It's the pattern of life that pulls us away from God and damages us from the inside out. And sometimes that damage is easy to see, and sometimes it's hidden behind a smile, a busy calendar, and a life that looks fine on the outside. But underneath it all, sin leaves people tired. Tired of pretending, tired of carrying shame, tired of making new promises with old power. That's why Jesus is such good news. Jesus does not just offer advice, He offers rescue. Through His death and resurrection, Jesus breaks the penalty of sin and the power of sin for everyone who trusts in Him. That doesn't mean that Christians never struggle. It does mean that sin is no longer the master. The old life does not get the final word anymore. A helpful way to think about baptism is to compare it to a wedding ring. A ring does not create a marriage, but it does show the world that a commitment has already been made. In the same way, baptism does not create salvation, but it does publicly declare it. It's an outward sign of an inward reality. It's the public yes to Jesus. And that's why baptism is not the finish line for super spiritual people. It is one of the first clear steps of obedience for anyone who follows Jesus. Jesus called His followers to be baptized, and Jesus Himself was baptized. Not because He needed forgiveness, but because He was identifying with His Father's will. So baptism is not about showing off. It's about obedience, and it's about bringing your faith into the open. Now, maybe one of the reasons people hesitate is because they don't feel transformed enough. They think, shouldn't I feel different first? Shouldn't I get my life together more before I do this? I need to understand more before I take that step. But sometimes your status changes before your feelings catch up. Think about when you turned 18. Most people didn't wake up that morning and suddenly feel wise and fully prepared for adulthood. But something real had changed. In the same way, when you trust in Jesus, something real changes, even while you're still growing. You are forgiven. You belong to God. You are alive in Christ, and you are becoming who He says you are. Baptism becomes an important marker because it gives you a moment where you can look back and remember, Jesus changed my life. I said yes to Him, and I belong to Him now. A lot of people believe in Jesus, but they keep delaying baptism. And it's not because they're against it. It's not because they don't love Him. They just keep waiting for a better time. Someday when life calms down. Someday when it feels less intimidating. Someday when they don't have as many questions. But delayed obedience has a way of becoming a permanent delay. It's kind of like moving into a house and leaving one box unpacked in the garage. At first, it doesn't feel like a big deal. You tell yourself, I'll get to it later. But later keeps moving. And that unopened box becomes a quiet reminder that something has been left undone. For some believers, baptism has become that unopened box. They believe, they worship, they serve, they're growing, but they've never taken the step of publicly identifying with Jesus. Baptism is the moment that unfinished obedience comes out into the open. Not because the water saves you. Jesus already did what only He can do. But baptism tells the truth about the new life that He's given you. So, why get baptized? Because Jesus changes people, and the old life does not have to define you anymore. Because grace deserves a visible response, and obedience matters. Because your story can encourage someone else, and new life in Christ should not stay hidden. So if you're still exploring faith, start with Jesus. Bring Him your sin, your questions, your need for a fresh start, and trust Him. But if you already believe in Him and you've never been baptized, maybe this is the moment to stop saying someday and start saying yes. You don't have to fix yourself first. You don't have to become impressive first. You don't have to understand everything first. You simply need to trust the one who died for you, rose again, and makes all things new. That's what baptism points to. The old is gone and the new has come.